He trade his guns for love. No, heaven if you sent us down, so we could build a playground for the sinners to play as saints. You'd be so proud of what we made. I hope you got some beds around. It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire. I trained my luck to know why he's caught in the crossfire. And now I'm here waking up to the sun and the sound of birds. Society's anxiety. It's caught in the crossfire. So heaven if you sent us down, so we can build a playground for the sinners to play as saints. You'd be so proud of what we made. I hope you got some beds around, 'cause you're the only refuge now for every mother, every child, every brother that's caught in the crossfire.
Are you scared? And I'm not asking this related to the video you just showed. So, is anybody scared right now? If you are, please raise your hands. Okay, cool, I'm not alone. Today is actually the first time that I talk in public, so yeah, I am scared. But yet, here I am, standing in front of you guys, talking. So, why would I do something that I'm scared of? Is there something wrong with me? Or maybe, just maybe, there is something right in me. See, I love challenges. I love to face challenges. I love to realize that I have fears. And I love to punch them in the nose. I love to fight my fears. And it comes a long way. When I was a kid, I was bullied at school. And therefore, my parents signed me up for karate lessons. And then, I was bullied at school and at karate lessons. Well, that happens. But I will be forever grateful to my parents, because those lessons were actually the first step to overcome my biggest fear at the time, which was being punched in my face, in my beautiful face. And with karate, I actually learned a few things about me. The first one is that I love challenges. And the second one is that I love the dynamics between two moving bodies. You may know it, but karate is very elusive and defensive, and like contacts. And I wanted something more full contact. So I moved from martial arts to combat sports, and that's how I started boxing. And I loved it. I really loved it, but I felt too limited in my movement. I could only use my hands. And I wanted to be more free with my body. That's actually how I discovered mixed martial arts, which is what you saw on the video. And from the first training, I fell in love. I fell really in love with that sport. You might know that guys think about sex every 7 seconds. Well, I think about MMA every 5 seconds. That's just how deep in love I am with that sport. And that would have never been possible. I would have never discovered mixed martial arts if it wasn't for my parents pushing me to overcome my fear. So today, I would like to talk about overcoming your fears. Because for me, it was really important to discover my greatest passion, even my purpose of life. And I want to push you to overcome your fear. There are many reasons. The first one is what I just explained. Maybe behind one of your biggest fears, there is your biggest passion, your purpose of life. And there are many other reasons. You can see overcoming your fears as a big project with a lot of challenges. And just like any big project with challenges, once you are successful with it, you will have that feeling, that positive feeling of satisfaction, maybe even achievement. And during our life, we should be looking for those positive feelings. Also, fears create effort zones. And when you have effort zones, you try to avoid situations. But at some point in your life, you will have to face those situations. And it would be a pity to make an effort to face those situations, especially when, with the right tools, you can just enjoy them. Now, I would like to be transparent. I wish I was a grandfather. I wish I was 60, maybe 70, because I am no scientist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy who likes to live life and experience things. And then I try to understand why I react the way I react. So today, you will have to trust my long 27 years career of being a human. If you want to overcome fear, you have to understand what the fear is. And as far as I'm concerned, I dissociate two kinds of fear. The first one are the real fears, the actual ones. I won't talk about them today, but I will just illustrate. You come home from work, and the door of your apartment is already open. Once you step into your apartment, you can see you have been robbed. Then you will start sweating. Your heart will go faster. Your head will be all over the place. This is real fear, and it makes sense, because you can see the danger. Maybe the robbers are still in the apartment. It really makes sense. Then there are the fears that shouldn't be. Those are the ones I want to talk about today. Let me take another example of you at home. You are in your sofa watching a horror movie, let's say The Exorcist, we all saw that. And there is wind outside. It makes noise. At some point, your brain will get tricky. It will make you think that the noise comes from the inside. And you will experience the same reactions than the guy that has been robbed experienced. Sweating, heart racing, head all over the place, maybe you will freeze. But if you were watching a comedy, you wouldn't have those reactions. This is a fear that shouldn't be. I'm sorry. So let me make a point before I continue. I'll ask you two questions. Who here is afraid of spiders? It's a classic one, so don't be afraid to raise your hands, actually. Okay, so I can see a few people are afraid of spiders. Let me take another classic one. Who here is afraid of heights? Okay, so why is it that he is afraid of spiders, but she isn't? And why is it that she is afraid of heights, but I am not? And why is it that I'm not comfortable with public speaking, but the other speakers are? Maybe. It's actually because we are all humans. We are all different, but we are all humans. If I am able to be comfortable with the situation, it means that anybody can be comfortable with the same situation if he has the right tools and the right mindset going into that situation. Now, if you want to really overcome your fear, you first have to understand what a fear is and why we fear, why we experience those feelings. For me, there are three reasons. The first one is really easy to illustrate. Remember the first question that I asked, if anybody was scared here? A few people raised their hands. Who are those people? It's really easy. They are my family, my girlfriend, the other speakers, and the organizers. Why are they afraid right now? Because they care about what I'm doing here, but they have no control about what I'm doing here. They don't have any control. If I want to go for a striptease, I can. It's only up to me. And for the organizers, it would be awkward, right? You don't want that. Okay, why? That's what I thought. And if I wanted to tell a lot of dirty jokes, it would be embarrassing for my family because they love me. I hope they do at least. You do? Okay, that's good. So the first reason is when you don't have control over a situation, you might experience fear. The second reason is what I call the unknown situations, all your first times. When you have a first time, you don't know what you are getting into, and that creates doubt, and doubt leads to fear. Let me take an example that we all know, the first time that you had a job interview. The first time that you had a job interview, you were questioning yourself before going into it. What are going to be the questions? Who is going to interview me? And that creates a scary feeling before you get into the job interview. Then during the interview, you will also be questioning yourself. Are they liking me? Are they willing to see me again? This is fear. But if you take the example of someone who is 50 years old and who has been to, 30 jobs interview, does he still have the same feeling than the first time? No, because he knows what he's getting into. Those two reasons can be combined, or only one of them is enough to experience fear. The last reason is exaggeration. We have a magnificent brain. Our brain is brilliant. It can take a situation, add a few facts, add a few conditions, mix it all together, and emulate the future. And it's great, usually. But sometimes, especially when you are afraid of something, it gets tricky. It gets really negative. You will start to imagine the worst-case scenario. Actually, you will even imagine a scenario that is worse than the worst-case scenario that is possible. And because you can imagine it, because you can visualize it, you make it real. And because you make it real, you make it very likely to happen, even if it's really unlikely or impossible. And those are the reasons, the three reasons we experience fear. We all have that one friend that, imagine you are at a barbecue, sitting, enjoying the sun, enjoying the food, enjoying your friends, and at some point the guy will just jump out of his chair and doing a kind of tectonic dance. And you will not understand what he's doing until you realize there is a small bee near the table. Yeah, we all know that guy or that girl. What's the worst that can happen? That person is not allergic. So he can get stung, it hurts for a few seconds, maybe it's itchy for a few minutes, then he can still enjoy the barbecue, and 2 days later there is no marking. But he's in his mind, it's really dangerous if he gets stung, and it's going to happen. For the past 6-7 years I've been to a lot of barbecues with a lot of friends, and none of us has been stung. It's not likely, and it's not really dangerous. But his brain makes him afraid of bee. Now that we understand why we have fears, we can work on tools to overcome them. I have 3 tools. 3 reasons we fear, 3 tools to use. The first one is to go gradually, to go step by step. Overcoming a fear doesn't come overnight. You have to do it slowly. For instance, for all the people here who are afraid of heights, don't do what you all saw on those videos. You know, the guys who go up on skyscraper, start walking on the edge, doing a handstand, maybe hanging themselves, with one hand, of course, because the other has the GoPro to take a selfie. Don't do that as the first step. Actually, don't do that ever. No, if you want to overcome that fear, the first step might be to go to a fun fair with a few friends. You're with friends, it's a fun fair, it's fun. And then you go on the big wheel. It's safe. And that argument leads me to my second point. Safe. A trusted environment. Now I will use an example that happened to me. The first time I had to do a sparring in the boxing training. A sparring is actually when you simulate a fight with another guy. The first time I did it, it wasn't against Mike Tyson, who had the instruction to put my head out of my body. If it was, I would have been scared for my life. I would have never do a sparring. I would have never loved boxing nor MMA. No, the first time I did it, it was with a friend of mine who I knew was a beginner, who I knew wasn't going to knock me out, and who I knew wasn't going to try to hurt me. I felt in a trusted environment, and it really helped the process to take the first step to overcome my fear of being hit in that beautiful face. The last point is to counter when your brain gets tricky. It's what I call the rationalization. You have to take a few seconds, maybe a couple of minutes, to focus on the positive. You have to realize that even the worst case scenario that can happen is actually something positive on the long term. We have all had bad experiences in our life. But those bad experiences, after a while, it becomes lessons, experience. It's always something positive. And you have to focus, to keep focusing on that. Every situation you can get into can be positive. Now, let me ask you a few questions. Is it because you are afraid of spiders that you shouldn't go for a jungle trek? It's very nice to do jungle trek. Is it because you are afraid of heights that you should never experience a parachute jump? It's nice as well. Is it because you are afraid of failure that you should never try to run your own company? And that's actually something for me. 3 weeks ago, I decided to quit my job, and I like it. I really liked my job. It's not that I hate it. But at some point, I realized that it was the only thing keeping me away from following my dream, which, you can guess, is make a living out of mixed martial arts. I decided to leave my job because I was afraid of failure, and my job was the only thing safe in my life. And today, I feel really happy about that decision. Really, really happy. Now, I want to thank you all for being here, because thanks to you guys, today I overcame one of my biggest fears until today, talking public in English, which is not my native language. And I wish I did enough to push you to overcome your fear and to give the same meaning to fear that I give. Fear, F-E-A-R, should stand for face everything and rise. Thank you.